Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Friday evening. It's another edition of the Arms Bumanlag Project, broadcasting live from the Little Heart Studios in beautiful Amherstburg, Ontario. My name is Arms Bumanlag. Very happy to have you along for the ride. As always, we are in the project, which means this show is about great people, great things that are happening in Windsor, Essex, and the world. And new episodes drop weekly, and we'd love for you to be a part of the program. You can comment. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And you can catch the rebroadcast on a couple of different sources as well. My guest tonight, absolutely amazing individual. I'm proud to call him a friend. We'll bring him on just a few moments, but some housekeeping to get to. Yes, we make my son Liam listen to the podcast. The past episodes of the Arms Bumanlag Project available on Spotify, and you can watch the past shows on YouTube as well. Last week we had the man, the myth, the legend, Adam Castle on the program, and his episode was awesome. We kind of nerded out around the end, so check it out on YouTube. And then next week, we dive back into the music scene. Chrissy Cochran and Mike Hargraves, the husband-wife duo, will join us on the program to perform and to talk about their experience in a COVID world as musical performers. Very excited to bring them on the show. Even more excited to bring my guest, the one and only Mike Teves, joining me on the program this evening. Mike, what's going on, brother?
Not much, you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Now, Mike, for those who are joining the show today, is a videographer, a man of many talents from the beautiful town of Harrow, Ontario. And Mike and I have known each other since 2015, and I wanted to invite him on the program because it's been a long time. So, first of all, it's not just you. You got Rudy on the show, too.
For the time being, until he sees himself and then he starts acting up or he starts barking because I have to cater everything that I watch to him. Like, if it looks like anything remotely to a cartoon, a cartoon like animal or anything, he'll just bark at it. So I'm actually surprised he's doing really well right now.
Oh, he knows he's on the show and he's got to be good for dad as well. So Tell me a little bit about, before we get to Rudy and how important Rudy is to you, let's get into your background. How did you get started and getting into the world of videography? Let's get into that.
Well, actually, how I got started in videography is through skateboarding, really. Like I bought my first camera at the age of 16 because I just wanted to make skate videos with my friends. And then I moved on to just like little digital cameras and GoPros. And the funny thing is I really wanted to get into videography and start shooting just like events and stuff like that, because I would always make these videos called Good Times, and it would just be like a year in review with all my friends, and we'd always watch them every year. And the funny thing about that is you and Carrie actually asked me if I could film your wedding, and all I had was a GoPro and a digital camera. And I'm like, I don't have the equipment for that, but I honestly, that's what really got the ball rolling. And I'm not just saying that just because I'm on the show or anything like that, but literally, it's like, if you believed in me that like I could film your wedding with such little equipment, like, obviously I had to turn your wedding down, but I'm glad I did, because there's no way I could have done a better job than the video that you had like at the time. You know what I mean? So it was awesome. Yeah. That's how I got into it.
Well, I mean, I met you back in 2015, and, we would hang out and then do, see each other at certain parties and whatnot. And I would see your stuff. I'd follow you on YouTube, and then Carrie would say, "Oh my God, Mike posted just the funniest video, like literally the funniest video." So then I'd see it and I'm like, man, this guy's really talented. I saw it even then. And I'm like, so when we got hitched, I said to Carrie, my wife, there's got to be maybe a remote possibility that we could get Mike to do it. But I get it. Like, I'm glad you were at my wedding, so you could enjoy yourself, so you weren't like running around. But you dive into this world and you say to yourself, okay, well, here's the thing. How can I become a really good videographer? Because I want to show you something here. And for folks who are watching the show for the first time, Mike is a very talented man, but he's also very he's got a very unique way of doing things when it comes to videography. Like, you take a look at this, you're kind of dancing with the folks here, you're getting into it, things are going along. This one, you're climbing over the fence to get the shot, right? I bet this is all fun and games, right? Dancing in it as well and having a little bit of fun. But you have these moments where I love this one. Boom. Right there, up close and personal. But you have these moments where you have to have fun when you're doing this stuff, right, Mike? You have to enjoy yourself, and you do this to kind of accentuate who you are.
I gotta be completely honest. All of those shots turned out horrible, but it was all about. The funny thing is the first in 2000, I think it was 2019 in September, I had like a string of like 7 weddings, like all back to back. And the first wedding, I thought of like a really funny idea to just like do a barrel roll, just like roll on the ground and pretend like I was like filming. And I just like, I put it in my story and I hashtagged it hire me. And then everybody was reacting to it and stuff. I'm like, okay, like every single wedding, I'm just gonna do like these little hire me's and like just like make a goof out of myself. And that's how I became like more confident with my business too. Just like and being goofy and just like showing more and more my personality. I asked Mike if he ate the salty dog on Tuesday.
Were
I
you at?
am not. Oh no, I
No,
did. I
you
did. I
did.
did eat the salty dog. Yeah, I did. I was
Okay,
there with my
so
girlfriend.
yeah, Mike O'Fee, good guy. I know Mike for he's a singer in the YQG. He's a great guy. So there you go, Mike. Mike Teves eating at the Salty Dog. But you're so sorry interrupt as we go on here. So you do these because you stand out from the pack, right? It shows people that you're a real person, but you're showing people that you're very creative as well. And that's
Mhm.
had to benefit you when people want to hire you. Like one of those shots was actually Carrie's cousin. I know they hired you for their wedding, and they were very happy with the turnout.
Yeah, which one was Carrie's cousin?
That is Justin and Natalie.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that
Yeah.
that that wedding was amazing. Like, such a fun party, full group. And the funny thing is that was the first time I ever shot a wedding where I actually went into like the limo and filmed. Like, I went with them everywhere in the limo, and they were just such party animals and wild. Like one guy is just like, "Have you ever been to one of these weddings before?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "This is what's gonna happen. That guy's gonna be on top of the table singing. This guy's gonna have his shirt off. This guy," and by the end of the night, he was absolutely right. I swear, like I saw a guy like on the table with the shirt off. I look over at him, he's just like nodding. He's like, "Yep."
It's how do you okay, here's my question. As a videographer, you do these weddings, you get into that party mode, you have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's the craziest thing that you've seen at a wedding?
Well, obviously, I gotta say, my friend Josina wiping out on a skateboard was probably one of the craziest things. That
This.
that's gotta
This right here, right?
yeah, 100%.
So you're filming this?
Yeah, I filmed this, and then I had a second shooter with me, like on the back of the truck as well. But we had like a wide and like I had a tight. But yeah, the funny thing is Corey and Justina are really good friends of mine. So when they were over and we were talking about their wedding, we're like, yeah, like we're gonna set this up. We're gonna have a pickup truck, and we're gonna film this. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. Like that's amazing. And we were laughing at the fact, like, oh, what if somebody wiped out? But we had no idea that Josina was going to wipe out. So as soon as she wiped out, everybody was like, well, that's going viral. And I asked her, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I post that tomorrow? And she's like, yes, please tag me. So I posted it the next day. Within an hour, it was already being like shared by a ton of different like big Instagram pages, like big skateboarding pages like Hall of Meat, like Thrasher, and like the Barracks. They shared it, and then I was just getting bombarded by like Juke and Media and like different companies wanting to like license it. So I was able to like license that clip, and then any like all the money that I get from that, I just split it with the couple, because obviously I wouldn't have that clip if it wasn't for them. So
Oh, like I mean, they obviously are skateboarders, right? They
yeah.
enjoy skateboarding. So I mean, what was her reaction after she wiped out? Was it like devastating? Because some brides,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no.
like if the wind blows the wrong way and it messes up their hair, it's game over. I mean, she's like head first pavement there.
Yeah, honestly, that's not even the first time she's went viral for taking a slam. Like they're both skateboarders, so they're pretty tough. And she, like you got to give credit to her, because she went down and she didn't even let go of the bouquet. Like she just like went down
She's
and
still hang on to it.
she had the bouquet in the hand. Like it reminded me of like a time when I was a kid and I was riding a bike and I was borrowing a Game Boy from my friend, and I wiped out on a skateboard, or like wiped out on my bike, and I had the Game Boy right in the air, and I'm just like, I saved it. And I just felt like it felt so accomplished. But
So I mean, crazy times. You obviously love what you do in the wedding realm. Let's talk a little bit about how that has affected you in terms of the pandemic. I mean, obviously, things. I saw some of your videos on Instagram. Walk me through what's going through your mind March 2020 when all this starts to lock down.
oh, okay. So funny thing. I have a funny story about like, so right in February, I met a couple. I met a couple at Starbucks, and we were talking about their wedding. And I was like, I was going over my payments. I'm like, yeah, I do like three payments or whatever. And she's like, payments, more like payments. Hands me a full envelope, just cash. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. 1 week later, the pandemic happens, and like I ended up buying a lens with I bought a lens with that money because I had another project in March that I was going to use that lens for, and that project ended up getting canceled. And then their wedding they ended up just going with like they just got married like at a like like really small private wedding, and ever since then, like all my weddings have just been leapfrogging. Like, that scene from Happy Gilmore where Happy is just like he's got all the names and he's like putting himself up. It was just like that. It was like I was just I had a whiteboard and I was like erasing names and stuff. Like I couldn't resend contracts for a little bit. Um, but yeah, it's been kind of crazy. But obviously, like I made a skit about that too because it's crazy. Like I don't take too many weddings. Like I take on like about 14 a year,
Mhm.
and even that was kind of crazy. Like I'm like, yeah, I have 14 this year, but all of my weddings have been pushing a whole year in advance. So like I'm like, okay, like I have 13 and now I have one in 2022, and then it's weird. It's crazy. But honestly, just going with the flow. Like I tell all my clients, like whatever you decide to do, I'm there. Like regardless if you guys have like a 5-person wedding or like a 200-person wedding, like if you're having the day, I'm gonna film it. And I did that for one wedding too because I filmed a wedding where they put on some heavy restrictions 2 days before, and their photographer backed out, and they had to like rush to find another photographer. And they're so like let down. They're just like, we understand if you want to back out and like you don't want to like film our wedding. I'm like, well, are you still having it? And she said, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm gonna be there. And honestly, it's like one of my favorite wedding videos too. Like it doesn't matter if you don't have like the entrance, like the first dances, like speeches, like you can do something really fun and cool and like make a cool memory with all your friends just to show with everybody. You don't need all those other extra things, right? So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think when the pandemic loosens or we get back to some version of normal.
yeah.
Carrie and I were talking about this the other day about how much the wedding industry will change, or any kind of major event will change. It's like, when we did our wedding, we had like 175 people ish, and we wanted to even keep it less than that. But I don't know. There might be more of a focus on just having like your very close family nearby, right? And I
Yeah.
think that might be a big change for a lot of folks. I mean, it's hard to say, but I'm glad that you're doing well with, despite the pandemic. And it doesn't hurt that, okay, plug for Rudy again, that you've got this just adorable, adorable, adorable pooch who's just, the light of your life. Here's some close ups
Oh
of him.
yeah.
Just a little
Oh
slow
no.
mo for this guy,
Oh, there.
you know?
He saw him. He saw
And
himself.
tell me about this guy. Yeah, I mean, you love this dog to death.
Hmm.
Beautiful dog.
Yeah. He's my best friend. We've been through thick and thin. I don't know what to say. I've made so many skits with him. I've probably made more skits with him than I have filmed weddings for sure.
It's
Like
amazing what pets can do, though, right?
yeah, no, he's 9.5 years old. He was born December 21st. His middle name is Winter.
That's a good name. Yeah, good
Yeah.
middle name.
So yeah, I take him for walks. I need those walks more. I mean, just as much as he does, just to like clear my mind. Yeah.
He's a beautiful dog, and I mean
Thank you.
some of Mike's content. By the way, if you want to see it online, you can search Mike Teves on YouTube. But of course, check out his website too, which is miketevesfilms.com. And Rudy's been there for you no matter what. And then that's something when you talk about clearing your mind. I know the mental health issue and mental wellness has always been a really big topic for you. It's been something that you've worked on. I know you work with Canadian Mental Health Association on some really cool initiatives too.
Yep.
Tell us about that, and kind of getting yourself to that good place that you can be creative and you can be you.
Yeah. Well, I started working with the Canadian Mental Health Association I have a good friend. His name is Steve. He's actually he's a mentor of mine. He used to be a photographer. Now he owns a business called Flow Hardwoods. But he he's a huge mentor of mine, and he actually gave me the suggestion. He's like, he knows like how big I am on mental health and stuff, and like a bunch of stuff that I went through, and like just a bunch of different just healing, and I guess like therapy and CBT and like all that stuff. He actually suggested like, oh, like there's this event called Rock Your Soul. He's like, you should he's like, man, you should try to see if you could film a gig there. Or he's like, you know, like it'd be really good to get your foot in the door. And so I like, he hooked me up. He said he reached out to Kim, or like it was Jasmine, and said, hey, like, would you mind if somebody donates their time to make a video for this event? And they were all for it, right? Because it's a free video. So I made it, and I had the best time. I had the best time, and then even after I finished doing the video, I just felt so accomplished that like I was able to work with like such a like an awesome organization, like even like just something that like you mentioned earlier. Sorry, buddy. Just like being able to work with people that you want to work with, right? Like things that you believe in. So and so ever since then, they've like me and Kim, we keep in touch, and like I've done four different videos for CMHA, and I actually just finished another video for CMHA. And I'm not sure if I'm not allowed to talk about the subject on it yet, but
Sure. No, it's good.
that one's done too. So it's just cool that they just reach out to me, and I feel very comfortable with them. Like even after like filming projects, like being able to talk with some of the people at CMHA, and they just ask me how I am. It's almost like a free therapy session for me. It's like I just talk, and like I'm a very transparent person, but like they just ask
Sure.
me how I am, and it's like when people ask me how I am, I'm just like, you know, I just start spewing out. I'm just like, yeah, this and this and this, and so yeah, I'm very happy I'm able to have like cool references like that.
I think that's cool that you are able to, take mental health in a very positive way and to say that, I know some of the things that you've dealt with, some of the things that you've gone through, some of the things that you continue. We were talking before we went live about how important it is to kind of be in a good place. Would
Mhm.
you say that, having that opportunity to really focus your skills and talents and doing what you love is so crucial to getting to that good place?
Yeah, I think because obviously, I mean, I don't know how obvious it is, but like I suffer a lot from like low self-confidence and stuff like that. So it's constantly like just trying to like improve myself. Like it's a constant competition with myself, trying to like make the next video better than the last, but not even just that, but like educating myself more. Like not even just educating myself more when it comes to like editing stuff, but even just like self-improvement stuff. Like realizing like even like certain triggers or reminders, like you know, like why am I acting so weird? And then you start to realize like certain things remind you of certain things, and then yeah, just like yeah, just working really hard at and also not forgetting why I got into it in the first place. So um I just want to work with the people that I want to work with. I want to work with like easygoing, like fun people like myself, and yeah, yeah. I forgot where I
And
was going to go with that. I get
I
sidetracked
think
very
that's
quickly.
crucial though, right? I think everybody comes to a point in their lives where they think, okay, what is worth my time and stress and what's not? And how do I continue to fill that cup? I've used that term a lot. It's like, I want to do things, I want to be surrounded by people, I want to be connected to people that encourage me, support me, challenge me when they need to challenge, but also get who I am as an individual, because I don't think
Yeah.
anybody is perfect by any means, but I think that people can come from a good place and they should come from a good place. Because I remember when I was talking to you back in 2015 when you were doing the electrician gig, and I
Hmm.
mean, nothing wrong with being an electrician. I think
Hmm.
kudos to people who are are electricians or in the skilled trades, whatever. But I remember you like just talking to you and just getting this vibe that you weren't happy, right?
Yeah.
And you weren't happy in that particular role. But to make that jump to do what you do full time, that has to be a big leap of faith in you and then a leap of faith in your abilities too, because that's a scary thing to do. But I
Yeah.
would say that it's all for the better. I mean, you're thriving.
Yeah. And honestly, when I was an industrial electrician, I was one for 7.5 years, and before I quit, I was doing the video thing part time for maybe like a year, and like I had just like right before I quit, I had just like rebranded to my Tees Films because I was Tees Videography for like a little bit. But anyways, I feel like I really just get the energy from like everybody around me. So like during weddings, everybody's so happy. I feel higher than I've ever been in my life. Like when I'm filming a wedding, I'm literally like running around. I always like impress myself how charismatic or just like witty I can be with like just complete strangers. And when I was at the electrical place, there was a lot of like negativity. I didn't have anything in common with anybody that was there. Like it was either like fishing, cars, which makes sense because I worked in the shop. It was I just like I
Not that
didn't
there's anything wrong with that stuff.
no
There's
not at
not. It's
all.
just, it's not your cup of tea, right?
It
That's
just wasn't for
basically
me. Yeah.
yeah.
So like and like I found myself like being negative too because like people just had like a really negative mindset and like people weren't happy unless they were miserable pretty much. And that's what I always kind of like repeated in my head and like just like I don't know certain comments you kind of just take inventory and stuff over time and you're like man this place is toxic. And although it was like really hard to quit, like even I had family like out. I talked about quitting like my job, and my some of my family were like, "Oh, what about the benefits? What about the stable pay, the pension?" But like my mental health was like not doing too good, you know. Like I had to go to the doctor for mental like, and I was diagnosed with GAD like back in 2015, 2016
Mhm.
when I realized that I had to be like away from home or whatever. Like I don't know, like a bunch of different things triggered or whatever. But I realized that I went to the doctor and they were just like, and I was having panic attacks. I didn't even know they were panic attacks. Like I remember one time at work, I had a panic attack and I had to be carried off in an ambulance. And the next day I came back to work and people were calling me shaky because they thought like I was having a seizure. Not not that you should even make fun of for anybody for anything, but it's like but I was getting made fun of because I was having a panic attack. And like, I didn't even know it was a panic attack at the time because the doctors were like, we did blood tests and stuff like that. You're fine. Didn't know. Right. So I just like things like that I think about. And I'm like, and now I think about like the people that I work with now and like how positive and like I attract all the people that I want to work with. And I'm like, man, I'm so much happier.
Yeah, panic attacks, Mike, are not something to joke around about. I had my first panic attack back in 2013. I was working in radio at the time. I just quit smoking. I was a frequent chain smoker. Every time I tell Carrie I used to smoke, she was like, "That's disgusting," and I
It is
quit. I mean,
disgusting.
it is like I would do this. I do the 6 o'clock news. I would do the 6 o'clock news. I'd light up a dart, as they call it, and then all of a sudden I put it out and we're live. It's like the old Anchorman thing, right? Like, oh, we're live. Put out the
Yeah,
cigarette.
yeah,
Oh my god, right? And of course, I'd be on location. I wouldn't be in the studio. But I was a very heavy smoker, and I quit. Combined with that, stress, negativity, and being, I would say, and I think you and I are alike like that. Is like we're very emotional people. Where we
yeah.
can kind of sense the vibe of everyone else, and we thrive on that. I remember when I had to drive myself to the hospital because I thought I was having a heart attack. They did the whole thing, blood tests, everything, and they said, "We think you have had a panic attack." And I've only had two other ones since then. I had another one a few months after that, and then I had one my first time walking through Windsor Regional Hospital after we brought Liam home from sick kids. It was something I was able to control, but I remember just like that feeling of crushing, just like I couldn't escape on my
Yeah,
chest.
like the
But
impending doom.
yeah, but I mean, even if you look at, I mean, the topic of mental health, and I said this for many years, many years. Um, if you were to talk about mental health even 15 years ago, it's a no go. It's a taboo. But like, it still amazes me that in 2021 that there are still workplaces, there are still organizations that don't embrace the mental wellness aspect for their employees fully. So I'm
Mhm,
glad that you're able to get out of that environment because at the end of the day, I mean, you and I were talking about this before we went live tonight. Life is way too short to
mhm.
be anything but somewhat content and happy and are surrounded by some positivity because the attitudes of other people affect your attitude 100%.
100%, yeah. And yeah, that and honestly, like I just try to take on like the projects and everything that I know that I can do and that I'm passionate about and that I can put time and effort into. And even like, you know, I had an opportunity to do videos for like colleges and universities, and it was going to be like a pretty hefty project, and they wanted like a video for each program, and I was already stressing out so much because I figured already that it was going to be a very corporate thing, and it wasn't like I wasn't going to be able to put like my own personality on it and stuff. And although it would have been good money, it would have been a lot of time, and it just would have sucked like the honestly my soul right out. Like I had to like pass. I'm just like I thought about I was already stressing out, so I'm just like
No
pass.
thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
no thanks.
I'm
It's
getting
funny
better
how
at
that
doing
goes.
that.
Well, it's funny how it goes with that content creation, right? And maybe that's something we can talk about too, because I think you're so good at it because it's such your content is so filled with personality. And I mean, there's something to be said, I think, in today's day and age, people are getting content 24/7, 365, down to the second on their phones, wherever they are. So what kind of content are you doing that's really resonating? Like if you follow into that corporate mindset sometimes, and I get it, it's
Yeah.
like you're putting all that effort and all that energy into something, and then it's kind of like the wash, rinse, repeat of that content.
Hmm.
Nobody's going to watch that because it just becomes noise. But then if you do a little bit of that personality, that connection to the audience,
Yeah.
and showcase yourself. I mean, that goes back to your videography work when you started doing the hire me stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, people must have said, "Wow, this guy's like pretty cool," and I can relate to this. I can relate to the content.
Yeah. And like I'm happy people can like it's honestly sometimes I get so nervous just like sharing certain things. I have to just like share it and then like walk away. But but sometimes like there's sometimes where like I make things and I don't even share it either. So so with like the things that I want to create and stuff too, it's like I don't really put myself in a box of like I want to make you cry or I want to make you laugh or whatever. It's like I literally just want to like make I just want to make things that like have purpose, the things that just make you feel in general. Just like I do want like to provoke emotion. I don't want you to be like numb when you like watch something. I want you to be like, oh my gosh, like, and I want you to watch things and like and think and be like, wow, like look at this little Easter egg. Like I wonder if any like did he know that he did this? I'm like, yeah, I knew that because I stress out so much when I edit things like I literally like I spend so much time editing things, um, but I get told like like multiple times, even like from my girlfriend too. Like every wedding, I beat myself up every single time. It's just like I could have done this better. And then like even when I'm editing, I'm like I go through this thing where like I get so depressed and I'm just like I can't even edit because like I feel like oh my god, it's not gonna be good enough and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden like something clicks in my head, and then I just like get to town and I start working, and she has realized this. She's like, it's your process. I'm like, my process sucks. Like I hate this
You're too
process.
hard on yourself. You're
I
way
know
too hard on
I'm
yourself, right?
100% hard on myself, but at the same time too, it's like I feel like that's what helps me too because I feel like honestly it sounds like what's your weakness? Like, well, I care too much or I'm too early. But but honestly, like I feel like I care too much sometimes when it comes to like little details and like I look at it from a videographer's perspective. Like I'm just like, oh, the sound is terrible. Or like this happened on the wedding day, so the audio is not as good. I always look at it from a videographer's perspective, but then all of a sudden, like, what really matters is just the couple. It's like when they see the video and they're just like so happy. I'm just like, ah, oh, like that feels so good.
It's funny. It's like when you go through those stages of like it's like that imposter syndrome, right? It's like
Yeah,
you think you're not good enough, but it turns out you're more than good enough. You're great at what you do. And then it's like I don't know if that gets ingrained on people because I'm like that too with certain things. It's like and I'm turning 40 this year, Mike. So it's like I continually tell myself on a daily basis, it's like you're not going to be perfect at everything you're going to do. You're actually going to be pretty terrible at a lot of stuff. But as long as you're learning and as long as you can constantly improve and you give yourself the benefit of the doubt to change it, I think that you're in a good place, right? Like
yeah,
I get the imposter mentality. Like when I used to do the radio and TV stuff, like my first time on TV, I was like, oh my God, like I can't do this. I can't do this. And then I would like freak out because here I am doing it live. And now it's like, you learn things like even when we were starting to develop the show, it's like, do we even do it? Do we, what if this isn't right? It's like, just try
yeah.
it and see how it goes. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like even like I remember when like even like when you asked me to film your wedding, and then immediately after that basically I was looking into looking into a DSLR, which funny thing is I didn't even end up buying a DSLR until after I broke my leg, which by the way, like growing and stuff like that, breaking my leg was like one of the best things that could have happened to me. Which is funny because like I remember I broke my leg skateboarding, and then right after, I was so worried about like, oh my God, what am I gonna do for work and stuff like that. And then I realized I'm like, hey, actually, like I'm pretty happy not going back to the shop. And then immediately I looked into DSLRs, and that's when I just like watched so much content of like learning how to like the filmmaking side of it, and not just like the editing side, because I didn't know, and I filmed everything in auto before 2017. So just like yeah, like little blessings in disguises of just like breaking my leg, and just like, okay, now I'm creating my own business because I don't know, like I real because being away from work, I realized that I needed time away from work because it was it was not good for me mentally.
I think it's a good way to reframe things in your life, though, right? You take a look at things that may have been very negative, but you reframe them to say, maybe this is the universe's way of showing me that there is another door. There is something else
Yeah,
that I should be doing. There's something I should be doing. And it's hard. It's one of the toughest things I think any individual will have to go through in their lives, is when they have to take a step back or even
yeah,
several steps back and say, what can I do? Like, what's next? And I think for me personally, and I know you've been like this way with Rudy and your fam jam. I want to talk about your awesome family too in the next couple of minutes, and some really cool stuff that you guys have been doing. But when you can kind of scale back and cut out all the BS, and I'm going to say it, you cut out all the BS that's around, and you
mm,
can say, what are the top three things that really matter to me? Go. And it's like, for me, it's like keeping my son safe, keeping my son healthy and happy, taking care of my wife and making sure she's happy and we're happy. And then for me, it's like reestablishing my friendships and really reinforcing that, and how to be a good person and relay myself to my friends. And I think once you can kind of get that, and you carve out the rest of whatever it is in life, I think things get a little bit simpler, because if you really align your goals to those different pillars, you can move forward a little bit clearer, because a lot of that noise comes from outside, you
yeah,
know?
honestly. And and it is just like the mindset, right? It's just like focus, like just like why, like why are you here doing this, or like what's the purpose of things. And it's just like getting down to the root of like why you're doing something, I guess, right? And it's like what's important to you. So just can't like forget what's important to me, like I just want to like do the things that make me happy, and like and do what I want to do for a living at the same time.
And also do stuff with your awesome family, because I want to show you a clip here. I mean, you guys were like all over just a few months ago here.
Oh
Look
yes.
at Jerry D here at the CBC. You guys are on Canada's Family Feud, the Canadian Family Feud. So tell me a little bit about this.
Oh wait, man, it was a wild ride. So back in 2019, or so, yeah, 2019, we tried out like my aunt and cousin were at Tim Hortons, and they heard that Family Feud were coming to Canada, and it was for season one. So they're like, oh, like let's get a family together. So they created a group chat. And first people who said that they were basically in the Family Feud group. And so we're like, yeah, we're gonna send our audition tape. So we sent our audition tape. We went through like the audition process. We went to Toronto for in-person auditions, where we had to like play mock games with like 60 other families, and like there was 3 other rooms with like 60 other families. Like there's so many people, and this was before COVID, obviously, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but we didn't get accepted for that one. So we heard that season 2 was coming back, and we're like, okay, this time we're making a Facebook page, we're doing skits, we're tagging them in everything. Um and honestly, oh sorry, I was reading the comment. But honestly, like we worked so hard, and I it's something that I never thought that we would actually be able to do. Like my sister and I, we've grown up watching game shows our entire lives. Our memory is just GSN, like the Game Show Network, just watching the Match Game, Family Feud, Wheel of Fortune, and yeah, it was and when we finally got the call to like go on, it was just like it was just such an experience, man. Like just like the entire experience with my family, being there on stage, seeing like what goes behind, like what goes on behind like the scenes, like the producers. It was so crazy. Like I just, from a videographer standpoint, like seeing everything behind this, that was the coolest part for me. That and they really make you feel really comfortable. Like they do a really good job like warming you up, playing like a little mock game first, and then you go in your little cove, and you know how like you run out and you're like, yeah, like
Yeah.
we're gonna play Family Feud. You do that a couple of times before they actually bring you out, and then they bring Jerry D out. And yeah, like even like the time where Jerry D was coming up, my sister and like my cousin Dahlia didn't even know that we were filming for the show, because they made us feel so comfortable, like even beforehand, that we're just like, is it live right now? Are we like, yeah, it was awesome. But like,
Are we actually doing this? Like, am
yeah,
I arbitrarily clapping my hands?
but
Like,
it's one of those things too, where it's like such a crazy, I don't know. It's like if you would have told me like 3 years ago too that, or like a couple years ago, that my family and I would try out for Family Feud and we would actually succeed, I would never believe you. But something about that experience and just like going on TV and like the whole audition process, like it sparked so much more in me that like that I never thought that would be on national television like that. Now I'm just like, I want to do more and bigger things, and like, yeah, I just like I'm excited. Like I just like I want to put myself out there. Like even this this podcast today, I was so nervous. Like
oh, come on.
I know. It's just like we're friends or whatever, and it's just gonna be a conversation. But like I was like, oh my gosh, like we're live here. Like
It's I always tell people like and that was the struggle with the show, right? It's like Carrie and I were talking about when I wanted to do this. I've been wanting to do this show for God, probably since 2019 when I left the CBC. I'm like, I miss doing the long type of format, the chit chat. When I was at AM 800 doing my shows, it was always like 5 minute segments, and then we got to go to a commercial break for like 10 minutes, and then
yeah,
back with another 5 minutes. And it's like you can't really get, just when you get the guests going, it's like you got to go, right? And then it's like we want to do it live, and Carrie's like, "Are you sure about live?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good with live. Like I like to do live because then we can tape it and put it on." Because I'm cognizant of not everyone's going to watch the live broadcast, but hopefully you do listen or watch the re-roll of it. So
yeah.
I was just happy that you decided to do come on the show, because I've been bugging you to do something like this for quite some time. So
Honestly, back a couple of years ago too, I remember you asked me for something for another podcast thing too. And yeah, like I just honestly just appreciate that you even consider me, right? Like I think it's super cool. Like
I think you're a good dude, and I think I'm. It makes me happy to see that you're happy and you're in a really good place and you're doing great things, right? And this is what the show is about. It's like somebody I ran into a couple days ago said, "Hey, you're doing that Project Live thing. What is that?" And I'm like, honestly, it's like the news today and content today is so damn negative. It is so negative. And I'm not saying everything's going to be sunshine and lollipops. I'm
mhm,
fully aware. I think everyone's fully aware of the state of the world today. But I think, speaking about mental health, I think mental health has to be balanced of your viewers and your listeners when you provide that content that is also somewhat enlightening, and you get to know about your neighbors. You get to know about different people in this community. You get to
mhm.
really feel a connection to people. And I used to hang my hat on that very much when I was in broadcast. I pride, you can ask people difficult questions, but I also feel like you can be respectful of their time and who they are. So I just glad that you came on the show. I mean, I was very pumped to see you here. And then, when I saw you on Family Feud, I was like, oh man, Mike's killing it. So here's my question though. So you said you want to do bigger and better things. What's next then? Are you going to apply to something else, like another game show, a type of reality show thing?
Yeah, so I guess nobody really knows about this. Like I've kind of put like subtle like Easter eggs and hints there here and there, and I've told a few friends, but I really want to apply for Big Brother Canada. My sister and I have actually just been like gearing up for it, and like we've been like prepping for it. Not that I'm gonna let the other house guests know about that, but but honestly, like so the funny thing is how I got into even like wanting to apply for it is like, okay, first of all, the Family Feud thing sparked it, but I went, okay, last summer I went for a walk with my mom, right? I went for a walk with my mom, and we were walking the dogs, and I took this picture of her. She was walking my dog, and she was walking her dog, and I took this picture of her. The very next day, she got into a really bad car accident, and she broke her ankle. So, so ever like since then, like, or I mean, like at the time, I was over there every day, and she was Big Brother, like America started, like, or whatever. And I remember watching season 1 and season 2 with my family back in the day, but I just like never watched it. And then like my family would always watch it, and I'd be like, "You're watching Big Brother, like, ha ha ha," you know what I mean? Like, and but then and then when I was watching with my mom, like I got so into it. I was like, oh my goodness. Like I got so hooked into it. And then I got into Big Brother Canada, and I watched like season 8 before, like when the pandemic hit and it got cut short. And then I watched season 9 every week with my sister and stuff when Tara Gillen was on.
Yep.
Um,
We had her on the show a couple weeks ago.
yeah, I know, I saw that. That's awesome. I honestly I started following her after that because I liked what she represented, and then also like the things that she shares too about just like mindset stuff. I'm like, yeah, yeah, okay, I'll support you. But yeah, no, I just like and I start watching the show, and I see people dressed up like Oreos, dunking in milk. I'm like, I want to be that. I want to be an Oreo. But
Well, God bless
honestly,
you, man.
not even just that. Like, I honestly think I would be really good at it. Like, I feel like I would be pretty good at it. I feel like I would have a really good social game, and I would like try to play the most honest game as I can. And then also, I think I would be a comp beast. So hopefully, and that's just like that's just confident talking, but that's so you, Mike. Yeah, an Oreo, hopefully.
You got so much. I mean, the comments continue to come in, and that's what I love about the show is that we want people to be joining the conversation between my guest and I. Mike Teves is on the program this evening, and you've got a lot of support here with everybody
Thank you.
on the program here. And Alma says, "Yeah, I got the scoop. I got the scoop. That is a scoop first on the project, right? Great idea, Mike. So you're doing this. You're hoping to
That's
do
true.
this. So like, what goes through? You got to send in the tapes. Like, you got to solicit yourself to these folks. Like, how do we do? How do we make this happen to get you on the show?
So so they just announced season 10, but they haven't mentioned anything about like the audition tape process. But I know from like the past, people would just have to send in like a 3-minute video, and I already have like so many funny ideas for it, and like, excuse me, like, I don't know, I feel like there's so many different elements I can add to it that would make it really funny. And like I was talking to my friend Danny actually at a wedding a little bit ago, and I haven't told this to very many people, like only like very like close friends. But I was telling Danny, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to try out for Big Brother Canada. And she's like, oh, you would get on. And she's like, she bet me. She's like, I bet that you'll get on. I'm like, I bet that I'll get on too. And we're like, okay, bet. And we're like, wait a minute, like, what are we betting? $100. But okay, do we pay each other? Like, yeah, like you take out $100, I'll take $100, and when I get on, we'll trade each other $100. But if I lose, then we just have to drink each other. I mean, drink with each other, not each other. Yeah, sorry, Danny. That's
There
me.
you
I
go. That's
want my
I
$100.
want my $100. I
We'll
want
just
my
trade
hundred bones.
$100. I'll take out
That's it.
20s, you take out a C note, and we'll trade.
That's it. So, so you'll let me know. Obviously, I'm sure I'll follow you on social media. I follow you on social media, anyways. But if you get in, I mean, that's pretty awesome, right? I
It's
mean,
funny
that'll
because
be
it's funny because I was trying to keep it as quiet as I can for a little bit, but it's just like, may as well. Like, I already spilled the beans to you earlier because
yeah,
just with the self-confidence thing. And like, I guess like,
good for you, dude.
like being afraid but doing it anyway. But also like, I feel like the more times you tell yourself you're nervous, you're just going to be more nervous. So if you tell yourself you're confident, fake it till you make it, I guess.
It's the truest thing. I don't think people don't realize the power of that. Fake it till you make it. I mean, I don't think you're ever ready for anything in your life. You just kind of have to jump first, and you learn to fly on the way down, right? And
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind if they don't at least consider you, I think the show needs a good head shake. So that's exciting stuff. Exactly. And speaking of head shakes, here, hang on. I got to go back in the comments here. Somebody brought this up, and I want to talk to you because listen, I've had the COVID cut from Carrie since this all happened.
It looks solid.
I think she does a good job. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, she does a really good job. I go to a guy in Amherstburg. I've been going to him for many years. His name is Mario. God bless him. Such a great guy. I just started bringing Liam to go see Mario too. And then he was like, actually looks forward to getting his haircut. So we go his father and son haircut days to Mario's. and pandemic hits. That's not happening anymore. So at one point, I think it was like April last year, I looked like a Filipino Hanson. Like I had like, you know what I mean? Like a bucket head, and Carrie's like, no, cut your hair. So she's been doing the COVID cut. She's been doing a really good job. I got to bring up this comment. Somebody made a comment about those luscious locks here on Mike Teves. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, so you have not cut your hair since the pandemic started?
Oh no, I cut my hair a couple times actually.
Okay.
I cut my hair right before Family Feud. I cut my hair right before that, and then I cut my hair probably about a month ago, maybe like a month and a half ago. But I think I kind of want to just like keep growing it, but it kind of gets annoying every once in a while. It, like gets in your face and stuff. But I'm just kind of going with the flow.
I think it looks awesome. I think there's people who can obviously do it, and I think it works really well for you, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
like, because I on your website you've got like the short look, right? But now you've
Mhm.
got the long locks. So you're going to keep it for a while, or
Yeah, the funny thing is like I started growing at the beginning of the pandemic, and I thought it was just gonna be like a pandemic look or whatever. But I've been wanting to grow my hair for the longest time, and there's just like awkward stages when it comes to like growing your hair sometimes. So it's just like
Mhm.
it took a little bit, but I'm just like, yeah, this is my look now. And some people mistake me for Weird Al, but I mean, but like I like it. Some other people have mentioned like, oh, you look like Frank Zappa. I'm like a little dated, but like, okay, cool.
I'll take that reference. That's good.
I'll take it. I'll
I'll
take it.
take it. I like the Weird Al reference too. I think
Yeah,
Weird Al is a legend,
I
right?
was I was so hyped when Jerry D said that he's like, do you know who you look like? And I'm like, oh, like I get Bob Ross, which I don't get. I don't understand, but and I get Weird Al, and he's like Weird Al, and I was just like, yes, like I was so excited because I'm like Weird Al. I love Weird Al, like growing up and everything. Like I remember in grade 8 music class, I sang "Just Eat It" like in the front of the class, just like by myself.
See, you got it, right? People like, listen, Just Eat It, good tune from Weird Al. Mike Teves is my guest here. We've got a couple more minutes left to go on the show. We are live here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Comments continue to roll in. We'd love to hear from you today. Just comment away and we'll bring it up in the chat. And if you're watching the rebroadcast of this on YouTube or listening to this on Spotify, Mike, you can always check out his work or follow him on social media as well. Okay, so you're a dog lover. You are a mental health advocate. You are an expert videographer. Do the comedy stuff on the side. Another connection between you and I that we are very passionate about is the world of video games.
So,
That's right, a little Donkey Kong action there for you. This is my one of my choices in Mario Kart. We kind of talked about this last week with Adam Castle. We went into this whole shebang about, we went into this rabbit hole of nerdiness, but I know you're a huge Nintendo fan. You
yeah.
love the Nintendo. Favorite games? What are you playing? Do you have time to play right now? What are you into?
The thing is I haven't actually had time to play video games in a little bit. Like every once in a while I'll play like the classics, right? Like I still love Pokemon. Like I'm so like I really want to play that new Pokemon Snap game so bad. I've been waiting for so long for a new Pokemon Snap game. It's like Pokemon and taking pictures at the same time. Like that's the
That's
best.
you.
Yeah, exactly. But like honestly, just like classic Mario games, like Super Mario 3, like just all those classic games. Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros, Mario Party, like all I don't know. I'm just like I love Nintendo because it's so fun. Like I just feel like Nintendo really like had the concept of just like being like a colorful like console kind of, and not too worried about like the realistic side of things of just like guns and stuff like that. But like you got like Mario, you got Donkey Kong. You know, it's just like it's super colorful, and like I just love that vibe, and I consider myself a colorful person too. But I going back to a grade 1 journal. What I wanted to be when I grew up was I wanted to play Nintendo, and
That's a solid life goal. I tell you right
yeah.
now, that's solid.
But but yeah, like what's your favorite game of all time? Like when it comes to
Oh my god. Well, I'm a pretty big GoldenEye 007 fan from the N64. I mean, I used to spend a large part of my Holy Names High School during the late '90s with my long Eddie Vedder hair. Believe it or not,
Oh yeah,
uh,
I've seen a picture before. I'm pretty sure you
it's
showed me.
freaking brutal, just brutal. I talk like this and be like, "Oh, let's go play Goldeneye." We would sit in my parents' basement, me and
I
my
feel like we
friends
would have
sitting
been
around the record
friends back
player.
then.
Yeah,
We would have been
we would have been.
friends.
We would have been like super friends. I will tell you
And I
this.
and I
But
and I would have watched Star Wars back then too, because I know you're a huge Star Wars fan.
oh my god, I love Star Wars. Star Wars actually for me has been a love-hate relationship. Like where it went off the rails for me was like The Last Jedi. Like I could do a whole show on that. And then The
It was long
Mandalorian.
term with me.
It's just like a terrible movie. Like the way they shot The Last Jedi fine, but it's like you can't tell me you didn't poop the bed with that whole storyline with the Disney trilogy. It's like there was no plan, there was no rhyme or reason and to do like they just kind of said, "Hey, this is cool. Let's do this in the second one. And we got a new director. Let's do this." And it frustrates me to like no end because if you look at Marvel and what they're doing with all of their storytelling across multiple
Man,
platforms, it's like
crazy.
it's insane, and there's a market for it too from a business standpoint. So what redeemed me for Star Wars is The Mandalorian. Like when that came out on Disney Plus, I was 100% hooked. And
Yeah.
like Liam and I'm trying to convince Carrie to like let me buy the full on Mandalorian suit for Halloween, so I could get Liam to go as Baby Yoda.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Um, so I'm trying to figure that out, but yeah, no, video game wise, I mean, we Carrie finally bought me a Switch, and that's upstairs. We have like the Mario Party. We have, I have
I
said
love
Mario
Mario
Party's her
Kart.
fave as well.
Yeah.
And then we have Mario Kart is like one of my favorite jams. I actually started to get Liam to start to play Mario Kart too. So hopefully, I mean, he's got the little Matchbox cars you can buy now.
Hmm.
But and I'm a big Xbox guy. I love my Xbox always. I think the last time when you and I hung out, I was we had the Xbox going, and I was kind of showing you.
Actually, I love that game, like the Walking Dead game that we were playing the one time I was at your house.
Yes,
Remember?
that was the
I honestly I found that so interesting. I was like, oh my, that was awesome.
it was the Telltale game, right? Or where you can kind of like
Mhm.
choose your own adventure, right? Which
Yeah,
is it's on my backlog of games to get through, but it's just funny. It's like you take a look at like video games again. If you were to tell like 14-year-old arms that, hey, like, there's a culture built around video games, like people are making money, Mike,
yeah.
at these esport things, which like blows my freaking mind. It's
Not
like
even
I
just
was
that,
born.
just like Twitch stuff, like people like just going
Yeah,
on and crash
yeah,
team racing.
that's a solid one too. CTR.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I see some of these things. It's like you can go to college. You can go to St. Clair College now. You can go into the esport program, which I know some of the guys that run it. And like these kids are like getting sponsorships, and they're like playing like. And a lot of the games, though, for me, like this is Old Man Arms coming out now. It's like I try playing them, and they're like so involved. It's like there's almost too much going on,
yeah.
and I'm like I can't process it, right?
Hmm.
But it's just it's a different world to be in. I think as a pop culture fan and nerd, it's a different world.
It is like I'm happy like with how far and like just video games itself. Like I don't know, like even if I were to tell myself like back in the day that there was going to be like 300 Mario games like in the future that I wouldn't
Yeah,
have to like still be playing the same three.
but the classics are good though. I mean, the
I
fact
love
that
the classics.
Nintendo released the small NES and the Super NES. I mean, those are I love them too. I mean, one of my biggest jams is like Mortal Kombat. I've always been a Mortal Kombat fan. I'll go back and play the Midway stuff, but I love Mortal Kombat too. But
Yeah,
um,
I
yeah, you
I, I
still
grew up I grew up playing like Sega and like the Mortal Kombat games too. Like my dad still owes me $1,000 from beating him in every single Mortal Kombat match.
Daddy says MJ's Moonwalker.
Yeah,
You know,
I have that game for Sega, and it's so good. It's amazing. The last time I played it was actually at Danny's house, and she was a client. I filmed her and Allie's wedding, which was my first same sex wedding. Shout out to Allie and Danny, but and thank you for tuning in. But last time I was with them, she's a huge Michael Jackson fan, so I brought over like the Sega and I brought over Michael Jackson Moonwalker, and it's such a funny game. Like you just go around, it's gonna sound weird, but you just go around finding little kids. I like. I hope
it's
somebody
a
else can
different
back me
times.
up on this. Anybody else who played this game can back me up on this. But it's an amazing game. It's so fun. They got
It's
like all the 8-bit redemptions of the songs. Redemption.
is it the Moonwalker game? Is it like you're not? It's overhead, but it's like you're on like angles, like you're viewing him from the top, or is it like a side scroller?
Oh, it's a side scroller. Like
Side scroller.
you start off in like the smooth criminal like music video level where you're in like a bar, and you just like you just hop on like karaoke machines and pool tables, and you like kick people with your little sparkles, and then you open doors and find you find little kids, man. Like honestly, like next time we hang out, like I gotta bring the Sega and like a bunch of like old Sega games, and we gotta just like
Do
nerd it out.
Okay, two questions for Sega, right? One of them, do you have Sonic Spinball? Because that was my jam.
I do not. Oh
Okay,
no,
I will try
actually,
to.
oh no, never mind. I don't.
I got to try to find it because that was good. And there was another one that I loved to play on the Sega. So we were never Sega people growing up. Like we had the Nintendo. We were big Nintendo people in my place, but I used to play at my friend's house all the time. It was the X-Men game for Sega, which
Yeah,
was
I
like a
actually
side scroller.
I have an X-Men game for Sega too.
Oh, so good.
I'm gonna have when I get home, I'm gonna have to like take a picture of all my Sega games and send them to you.
Please, please, please do.
Yeah,
JC Lee says I remember that video game vividly,
yeah,
and
I played it a lot.
best game ever from Danny.
And he, I'm pretty sure that's like a Michael Jackson reference too.
Hey, Mike, I just want to say thank you again for coming on the show. You're
Thanks
a
for
solid
having me.
dude.
Thank you.
I wish you nothing but the best in your life. I know that you're going to go amazing places. And, I try to ask my guests this to try to do something impactful, something lasting. Um, what kind of message do you want to put out there into the world? Like, what do you want to share with folks, during certain like a negative world that we live in? Like there's got to be some positive into this. Like what do you want to share with folks about their journeys and what they're going through on a day-to-day basis?
That honestly, from what I've learned, is there's a few things that always kind of stick out with me. But I think of like be afraid but do it anyways, because like if I didn't like make that Facebook page to even start my business, like that's just like the first start, right? Like sometimes people think of like the bigger picture as a whole, but like people forget to like make lists and like break things down. So even like just like the first step of like making a little Facebook page first, that was like a huge step or whatever. So like be afraid but do it anyway. Another one that I really love is don't let the world change your smile, let your smile change the world. And then also I think like just faking it till you make it, and be confident in yourself. Like try to stay true to yourself, and yeah, like you'll just be happier being yourself. Like it's on. I've never read this book before, but I imagine like summed up the subtle art of not giving an F
Mm-hmm.
is just maybe summary. Just try not to give an F.
Yeah.
And just do it and just be yourself, and like you just like you'll live such a happier life. And I also try to another thing too is I remember back in the day, I'm not going to get too deep here, but like I was going like even like when I was 19, I was going through like a really hard time
Yeah.
in life, and I remember like stepping out of that and like looking at myself and like my life from a different perspective. And this is before like like when I had much less, but I always had the mindset of like who do I want to be, how do I want to be remembered? So I always try to like think of like when I leave this world or whatever, like how do I want to be remembered? So I want to be remembered as somebody that will help somebody that would be like a positive influence, or somebody that's just like, just positive in general, or somebody that will like help them out at some point.
I think those are all fantastic things to kind of surround yourself with as you make your way in and out of life. So I just want to say thanks for being a great friend, and thanks for always supporting my family and having our backs, and being a great guy in general.
Honestly, like I thank you guys so much too. Like you were there from the start, like the beginning of like my videography thing and just like my growth too, and you guys been so supportive like the entire thing. So yeah, I honestly feel like everything just kind of comes full circle, right? Like you'll just meet like the people you need to meet in life, and like you kind of just like stick onto those people, and then as you grow as you grow, you start to realize the people that are negative towards you, and then sometimes you kind of just have to let those people go. But it's, you know, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's not hard, but like, I don't know, it's always been easy with you.
God bless you, man. Take care of yourself. I'm going to circle back with you in a couple months, probably have you back on the show. So watch out. Maybe we do like a whole video game episode or something.
That would be amazing.
I love it. Okay. Take care of
Cool.
yourself, Mike. Thank you so much. Okay.
Man, thank you.
Mike Teves, my seventh guest, seventh show here on the Arms Bumanlag Project. Solid guy doing some amazing things here in the Windsor, Essex area, and probably one of the best, if not the best, videographer in the area for events, weddings, you name it. Check out his website, miketevesfilms.com. And you heard it here first. If he gets on Big Brother, he dropped the bomb. He's going to try to go for it here on the show. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Arms Bumanlag Project. I want to thank everybody watching the live stream, or if you're catching this in the podcast or rebroadcast on YouTube, we appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget, next week we have a bit of the musician vibe on the program. We have Chrissy Cochran and Mike Hargraves lined up to talk about music here in YQG and to tell us a little bit more about what they've been up to over the last little bit. They're fantastic musicians, and I'm really happy to have them on the show. And then I should make a quick plug. We have so many really cool guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. We have some people that have been newsmakers. We have had people who are doing some really cool stuff behind the scenes. And it's going to be some really interesting back and forth here on the show, just like we had with Mike. So thank you for listening and watching and spending some time with us on the Arms Bumanlag Project. Take care of yourself. Have a great rest of the week. And we will see you back next week, Friday, with Mike and Christy. Take care.